Hey, book club besties.
From Scrubs to Book Club, we're two burnt-out healthcare workers who love to yap about books. I'm Katie.
And I'm Star, and welcome to Aimless Attention Podcast.
Today, we are starting on a big journey for 2026. We decided we are going to try to cover the entire Maasverse, Throne of Glass, ACOTAR, and Crescent City throughout 2026. We already posted our Crescent City rant a few weeks ago, but we plan on going through all of those books individually as well. This is a big undertaking. I don't know if book girlies or book guys, you know that this is a massive, massive universe. So we are going to start with Throne of Glass, the first book in the series, and we are going to go through Throne of Glass in the SJM recommended order. So SJM says that the best reading order is in order of publication. However, Assassin's Blade can be put in different spots. So Assassin's Blade, and this is actually a reason that I was hesitant to even start this series, is because if you look online, there is so much discourse about the reading order.
Yes.
Of how to do this. So there are arguments for doing Assassin's Blade first. So Assassin's Blade serves as a prequel. It's a set of novellas.
Yes, but if you read it first, it would make you not want to read the series.
That's how I feel.
I can't stand anybody. I loved Assassin's Blade, but you understand it once you've gotten past other books. You're like, oh, I get why this is what it is.
Exactly. And I should say really quick, spoiler warning if it's not clear yet, for anything that has to do with the SJM universe, Throne of Glass, Crescent City, ACOTAR. We will be discussing things because there are interconnections, and even book to book, there's a lot of things that like just sprinkle in things that are going to happen later. So the recommended reading order by SJM is who wrote these books is Throne of Glass, Crown of Midnight, and then you do the Assassin's Blade. And then you go into Heir of Fire, because Heir of Fire is when everything really takes off. So I feel like for Throne of Glass and Crown of Midnight, we really get our like initial setting up who our characters are and kind of the world we're in. And then once we get to Heir of Fire, things are so different. You need the backstory of Assassin's Blade to really understand who Selena is at that point. And then you can go forward with the rest of the story. That's how I read it, and I personally feel like that was the best way for me to do it.
No, I get it. I still think I read it as the second book. I don't know why. I think maybe it was just the way it came out, and like...
Yeah. It's very possible. And there are people who are adamant that Assassin's Blade should come first, which I get, because it's a prequel. So you can get the backstory of her. My problem is that when I actually struggled with Assassin's Blade, I love that book, but I struggled with it reading it second or reading it third because I was so like Crown of Midnight ends and it's like, oh my God, what is going to happen next?
Yeah, okay, I get that. I think that's why I ended up reading it second, because I'd already read these and I had already read them, so I was rereading them. So I'm pretty sure that's why I read it second, because I already knew what was coming.
Yeah.
So it wasn't easier to reread it that way. And then you kind of get like, but I love Assassin's Blade. That's like, that's a standalone for me. I could just read that one all day.
I have an appreciation for Assassin's Blade now that I've read all of Throne of Glass.
Gotcha.
I think I appreciate it more now. And if I was doing, other than this reread, I still went in the same order as I did before. But I almost wonder if I would like to do Assassin's Blade first, just because when you start in Throne of Glass, there are so many things you're just like, oh my God, if I had read Assassin's Blade first, I would have caught this little like Easter egg.
No, and I get that, but everybody I know that said that they started Assassin's Blade first doesn't ever want to go on.
Yeah,
they're always like, I don't love this. And I'm like, no, I promise it gets better. So I feel like there's a reason why she does it the way she does it, is so that it goes... So you get the flow of it. You're not, I don't know. And
I think there's also meant to be a mystery to Selena when you first meet her in Throne of Glass. So if you get her whole backstory, granted, you don't learn that she's Aelin right away, right?
Yeah.
So, but in Assassin's Blade, you don't get that information either. But I feel like you kind of get more of a grasp of who she is. And then Throne of Glass really heavily relies on the fact that Selena has a lot of secrets and we don't know them yet.
This is a true statement. Plus, it also kind of like, I think if you kind of knew ahead of time, like the things, and it wouldn't be as cool when she does certain things, like when she's like, trying to escape. That's, I don't know.
Yeah. So let's dive into Throne of Glass.
Let's do it.
So we enter Throne of Glass, and Selena Sardothian is our main character. She is being taken out of the mines of Endovir, which are a slave camp. And it is notorious that nobody survives this. You are brutally whipped. You are under harsh working conditions. You're not fed well. This is not a good place. The other slave camp that Adarlan runs is the Kingdom of Adarlan has Otterlin is how I always say it differently. Otterlin is how they pronounce it. Elizabeth Evans pronounces it, so that's probably the correct way to say it. Is in Calaculla, which is another slave camp, which is in Eelway. So yeah, we meet Selena. She is being taken out of the mines of Endovier. She's managed to survive a year, which is crazy.
But yeah, you get sent there to die though. Like
Yes.
they don't send you there to live. Like
Yeah.
you're expected to die within like months too. Like not even a year's like
Yeah.
not even on the docket. They're like they don't expect you to live past like 10 minutes. They're like here to die.
Yes. So Selena is in Endovier because she is Otterlin's assassin. I'm going to be correcting myself the entire fucking podcast.
Yeah, how did you pronounce it?
Adarlin.
A darlin?
Yeah. Otterlin is how it's pronounced.
Otterlin is how it's pronounced. Now I'm like confused.
Yeah, no, I'm gonna slip back and forth, so I apologize. I know how it's supposed to be pronounced, but in my head I read it like differently.
No, and
then
I
I listened to Elizabeth Evans say it. I'm like, oh, that's how you're supposed to say it.
This is why I like the audio, because I'm like, at least you tell me what to say.
Exactly.
Otherwise, I don't know what I would say. Like Selena's name, like every time I see it, I'm like, what the hell? How do you get that? Like Dorian's about the only one I read that was like,
Dorian's
that
I
looks
know
like
that
a
is.
real name. Like, yeah, I had that thought the other day. I was
Yeah.
like, none of these names look like what they're spelled as. I have to look up Kale all the time.
Okay.
I'm like, his name is not spelled how I would picture it, no matter
Yeah.
how many times I've looked it up. I'm like,
So Selena. This is gonna be the other part too.
well, that was
Okay.
one of those things I wanted to complain about. That I was like, can
How
we
many
start?
names she has?
How many names? I had this rant in another
I
episode,
screenshotted all
and I
her
was
names.
like, oh my god, I am going to tell you, this is going to be one of those rants. It's going to be like the River Queen all over again.
Yes.
I
So
was like, no,
I
all
wrote-
your damn names.
I went to Throne of Glass Wiki and I screenshotted all of her names because I
Oh my
knew this
God.
would be something
Yes.
that pisses Star off. So
Always.
while we're at the beginning of the book, before we dive into this plot, let's go. So her full name by the end of Kingdom of Ash,
By the end,
her full name, technically by Empire of Storms.
I was like, she's got multiple names.
Yes, so her
Okay.
full name by the end of Empire of Storms is Aelin Ash River Whitethorn Galathinius. That is her true name after she marries Rowan.
I was gonna say after she marries Rowan, because that's not her first name. That's
No.
not how we. This is not how it starts.
So when we first meet her, she is Selena Sardothian. Selena Sardothian is the name that Arabin gave her when he caught her when she was 8 out of the river, took her out of the river.
When he
and
caught her.
when he quote unquote rescued her out of the river when she was fleeing from Terrasen after the Otterlin attacked them. And then when Kale and Dorian go and retrieve her to become a participant in the trials to become the king's champion,
They rename her.
they rename her Lillian Gordania.
I forgot about this one.
Yes. So she goes by that for a while. At one point, she's Diana Bracken. I don't remember when that happens, though. It might come up in Crown of Midnight or something.
I don't
I
remember
don't
when that
think it was
happens
in this
either.
one, though. But we get her named Alentia by Nehemia.
Okay, I remember
this.
that one.
And that's what spirit that will not be
Yes,
broken.
yes.
That's a very meaningful thing for Selena at the time, and I have some notes about why that's really important later. She does go by Ansel of Briarcliff.
Okay, I do remember a little like snippet of this.
Yes, so Ansel of Briarcliff is a character we meet in Assassin's Blade.
Yes.
But while she is in the fighting pits in Queen of Shadows, she has her hair dyed red, and she is going by the name Ansel to get get her attention. And then Nameless. Nameless is my price, so she is Nameless.
Oh yeah, that's some of these names. They're just coming out of like.
And then she's called Lena by Archer.
Okay, Lena, I remember, but that's because that's like that would be something I would do. I'm lazy.
So those are the names she goes by. Then we have her titles
Oh my god.
as well. So we have Otterlin's Assassin.
'Kay,
That's the first
yes.
title we know her
This
as.
is the first one. Yes.
The King's Champion. That's who she is by the end of Throne of Glass.
Yeah, I forgot about that. Not that I forgot. I just hate that one.
Manon calls her Witch Slayer.
Manon's my favorite character.
I love Manon. Queen of Terrasen.
Okay, I've heard that one. Yeah.
Heir of Fire. Heir of Ash and Fire. Heir of Terrasen. Heir of Brandon of the Wildfire.
Okay,
Heir-
that one I remember. The other ones I'm like, okay, I feel like you're just making shit up now. I do know that they were said, but it's like,
yes.
come on, you're just picking shit out of like, you were like, it was said, pull it out.
Heir of Mala Firebringer. Fireheart.
Fireheart, I fucking
I love Fireheart. I have it
That one
tattooed on
actually
me.
bothered me because I'm pretty sure my ex-husband used to call me something very similar.
Oh, really?
And so every time I hear it, I'm like, ugh.
Well, Fireheart's tattooed on my ribs. So.
I know. I'm like, ugh.
Fire-breathing bitch queen. That's one of my favorite ones.
I want that one tattooed on my ribs.
And then Aelin of the Wildfire, Aelin Firebringer, Aelin Lightbringer, the Queen of Flame and Shadow, the Queen who was promised, the Queen who walked between worlds, the God's Killer, the Fairy Queen of the West.
Okay. Do you really think that she went out of her way to name her this many names, or did you think we just fucking found that many names?
No,
for
she
her?
Definitely went out of the way to do that. She was constant. SGM loves to name her characters
I know she
random
does,
things.
and it pisses me off. Like, this is like the one thing. This is the one thing that I can't complain about lazy writing, but it fucking irritates me. I just like, why? Because then every time I'm reading it and I'm like, who the fuck is that? Oh yeah. Like, all the time. It's like, and then she couldn't name, and I have to bring it up because it fucking is hilarious to me. And I just remember listening to this. The River Queen.
The River
She
Queen's
doesn't have a name.
daughter.
Yeah, the daughter. That's what it was.
I don't want to go down this road
I
again.
know. I just thought it
We
was
will-
funny.
well, when
I
we get
just
back to
couldn't
Crescent
resist.
City.
It was too fucking funny because I think the episode dropped not that long ago, and I had just watched it, and I was fucking dying. I was like, "This is gonna be the funniest thing ever," because we're gonna do Game of Thrones. God, now I can't even say it.
Throne of Glass.
Thank you. And then I was like, it's going to be so funny. And yes, I have an issue with Game of Thrones and Throne of Glass. They just cannot come out of my face correctly. No matter how many times I know what book we're talking about.
Dragons versus Wyverns.
Right? It's like,
Yes. Okay. So back to the plot. We meet Selena in Endovier. Dorian and Chaol grab her. I did not realize. Okay. I have one major. Okay. Lots of people have major issues with Chaol. One issue I have with Chaol, though. So Chaol's 22 when we meet him.
yes.
Dorian is 19.
A child?
Mhm.
Both children?
Yep.
He's
Dorian's
still
19.
a teenager at 19?
Dorian's 19, and then Selena is 18 at the time that we meet her. So this is 10 years after Terrasen has fallen. Chaol is the captain of the King's Guard at 22 years old. And I just, like, I understand he's, like, Dorian's BFF, but in what world does the King of Otterland go, yeah, I really am really nice to my son, and I'm going to put his best friend as my captain of the guard?
I don't know. I had the same thought, especially when you told me how young they were, because I didn't think they were that young.
Yeah.
But he also came from like semi-royalty, so like maybe it
noble
was
family.
like, you know, since you're noble family, you get to be like a higher stature. Because if I just put you in my guard, your dad would be like, "Excuse me." So maybe it was a way of being like,
Possibly.
all right, here, I'll give your son a position because he's your son. He's my son's best friend.
Mhm.
That was the only way I looked at it. Was
Yeah.
that you were because
I
you
guess
were
that's
because you
true.
were of nobility, you couldn't be lower than. You had to be higher than. So and he was fucking good at his job.
He was good at his job. Okay, I have to say, I'm a Chaol hater. I have been.
Hater.
However, re-listening to Throne of Glass, I understand more how Chaol and Selena ended up being together more than Dorian and her. So when SJM's talked about this before, when she started writing this when she was like 17 or something like that.
Yeah.
So-
Which is why them being so young wasn't all that weird.
Yeah, and this series is interesting because it starts YA and it progresses to being an adult book. By the time you're in Empire Storm's Tower of Dawn, and especially Kingdom of Ash, we are in an new adult series.
I was like, you could still, as a young adult,
I
like
think-
I
oh,
let
you
my
could
kid
read
read
it.
Harry Potter, and I feel like
No.
that
I think
one
it would be
was-
fine.
Yeah.
I just think it's cool to see that the writing progressed with the character ages. By the time we're finished Kingdom of Ash, Aylin's only 20, but she has so much that ages her over that time.
Yes,
that
I understand.
it makes sense that the writing elevates to be new adult rather than young adult. And I really liked how that transition's really smooth because it's just with the characters. So I just found that fascinating. However, what I was going to say was SJM started Throne of Glass with the intention of having Dorian and Aelin end up together. They were set up to be soulmates because they were intellectually so matched for each other. And I
I'm
think
glad they didn't.
I am too, because I think Manon's a better match for him.
Well, not only that, but I fucking hate Dorian.
I love Dorian.
Yeah, see, I'm a hater. I already knew this was coming. I'm always a hater, though. I was just talking to somebody else about this book recently and was like, I'm never like the girl that picks the guy that should be. I'm always like, I hate fucking fated mates. Like, I don't know why. Like, I'm like, let her pick who she wants. But I'm also, I'm also like the girl that doesn't want the normal guy. I'm always the girl that's like the odd guy out. Yeah.
But you like Kale, and I would argue that Kale is the normal guy because Dorian is the handsome prince who's womanizing everyone and all this stuff. And Selena's really the first person to kind of stop him and be like, "You're kind of a dick sometimes," you know? Like, and she's like, "Why haven't you gotten married yet? Like, you're 19 years old. You're an heir to a throne. There's no reason you shouldn't be married." And he's like, "I would not want to be with someone who is intellectually inferior to me," is what he said.
Okay, I have to say, I get that though. I really do. That's a very difficult, like, because then you're bored. But I guess the other problem I have, and the reason why I like Kale, is because I've always been the girl that's like military, woohoo. So I don't know. Like, I guess like it was like a
I think where Kale and Selena are in their lives match up better than Dorian and Selena at this point.
At this point, yes.
Yes. And so when and you can even tell, like, Kale starts falling for her really quickly, and he's also like, he's really trying to prevent himself from doing it, and he's agitated by her. They're constantly fighting with each other,
which is probably why I like him, because I'm like feisty. Yeah, I also think though, like, she's got a lot of growing up to do, and it's very difficult for him. And Dorian is kind of like, he kind of knows where he's going to get to go at the end. Like, he's always going to be a king, right? Well, not always, but you know what I'm saying? Like, the progression, if you weren't to read any more books and this was just his title, he would be progressive to go that way. So it's hard for him to be like...
Well, and he already talks about how there's nothing he can do to prevent his father from being the way he is. He's just resigned to the fact that his father's a really hateful person and that at one point he'll ascend the throne and he can try to fix things. But at this point, there's nothing much that he can really do. And he's kind of communicated that, especially because like there's a moment where there's so much in this book. I just can't even. So let's back up. We bring her back to Rifthold, to the throne, or to the glass castle.
Yes.
And the glass castle also has a stone castle attached to it. And Selena's like, "I am not staying in the glass part. Take me to the stone part." Kale's like, "Whatever. Here's your quarters. Leave me alone." Like, and she has like these sprawling quarters, and she's like, "Why do I get to live really nicely?"
Would you want to stay in the glass part? Like, no matter how many times she describes it, everything. I'm like her. I'm like, give me to the rock. Like, I want to be where, like, I know the ground is not going to fall out from underneath
me.
Yeah. I every time I read that story, I was like, I get it, girl. I would have gone and been like, give me no windows before you give me all the windows.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And we kind of note Selena at this point, so she is down as far as she's going to be. Other than Crown of Midnight, I think, is when she completely hits her rock bottom into the beginning of Heir of Fire. That's her real slope down. But she's at a really low point. She's less than a year out from Sam dying.
Oh, okay, yes.
And what we'll learn is that Arobin was the one who got her arrested and sent to Endovir. And so there's not much that, like, she can really deal with at this point. She's like, anywhere is better than being in a slave camp in the mines. So she willingly goes with Kale and Dorian to Rifthold, a place that she's terrified to be in because of who she actually is.
Yeah.
And again, as the reader, we don't know that at the time.
No.
So she moves into her quarters. She starts kind of getting to know Dorian and Kale a little bit. Dorian kind of keeps like sniffing around because he's like, "Oh, she's kind of cute. Like, she's interesting. She will not stop saying mean things to me. I kind of like that about her," which is a character trait Dorian really is attracted to. We find out later.
Which is probably why I like him, because I'm like spicy and I bring the spice to life.
Yeah, Dorian likes some sparring in his life. And
Who
Kale
doesn't. Okay,
it's
like,
true.
You're gonna do it. Like, do
it's
it right.
boring if it's too sweet, right? So Kale.
I don't know. There's some people out there that would disagree with you.
I would probably disagree with you too. I'd be like, "Stop being mean to me."
I'm like, "You're not being mean enough."
But so Kale and her kind of start getting close together. She starts going through the training sessions, and Kale really is recognizing she's really thin. She is not in good shape. We're looking at a Darlin's assassin, and she's just totally Otterlin's assassin, and she's totally just not doing well. They do one of the first things they do is training is like running, and they keep telling her, "You are going to win this. Do not act like you're in the front. You are not supposed to be Otterlin's assassin. You are a random jewel thief we found that is going to be our champion. That's what we've chosen to be your sponsor of. You are not Selena Sardathian right now. Stay in the middle of the pack. Don't act out. Like,
well, that, and also like when they first meet her, though, what does she weigh? Like $120?
yeah,
if
she's
that?
tiny.
And then on top of that, she also like probably has no muscle tone because she hasn't eaten anything in a year. What
Yeah.
they gave her, like it was like scraps basically.
Yeah,
It was like not
and
enough
there's
not enough protein to make your muscles built.
and there was a pickaxe incident where she killed a bunch of people in the area that she was in.
Yeah.
And they're all like, okay, she may be tiny right now, and she's actually like 5'7", 5'8". She's not a tiny woman.
Yes,
either.
but I mean, if
but
you're-
she weighs nothing at this point.
Yeah,
She's
if
been
you don't
starved.
weigh much at all, like it doesn't matter how like
Yeah.
you don't have enough strength to.
And we really get to see that because Kale and Dorian are like, don't give yourself away. And she's like, you guys are really annoying. But she really sees that moment when she does the first run.
Yeah.
And she manages to stay in the middle of the pack. And then she turns to Kale and it's like, I'll be right back. And she like goes back into the woods and goes and pukes. And that's when Kale follows her and is like, oh, she's like really not good. Like she's not doing
No,
well.
but I can't imagine like even if you gave somebody food that still doesn't build it back up, you're still I don't know. I think people get it mixed up in their head on how this works. Like there's a process. You have to slowly try again, not just rah.
Yeah. And Selena is very prideful on her strength and her beauty. One of the things I really like about Selena is that she is not there's a tendency in these romantasy books or any fantasy books where the woman's like, don't put me in pants. Don't put me in skirts. I wear pants because I can do this and I don't like girly things. And Selena's like, ooh, a cute clip. I want that. And I'm like, that is awesome. I love that she's still a girly girl. She's a girl's girl too.
Yeah.
And she totally is just like, she's this badass, super strong woman, but she also loves feeling feminine. And I love that about her, that she doesn't have to give up her femininity to be who she is.
It's really difficult though because men don't see you that way. Like the other day I was putting on a dress and my friend's like, you wear dresses? And I was like, sometimes like sometimes I want to be girly. Like I don't know, people just see like tomboy and they don't ever put like the association that like maybe I want to put on heels, like, you know?
Yeah.
Maybe nobody's offered to take me out. Like yeah. So it's definitely a weird thing, but I do appreciate that about the story is how cute she is too though. Like she's like, did you see my like my trinket of all of my, what is it? A chest of all of her dresses and stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah. I really did appreciate
when
it.
Shanza when she wins the King's Championship and she gets to have her, she gets paid. So she's in a 4-year contract and she also gets like a massive amount of money for it. She's like, I'm going to go buy so many dresses and jewels and like all of the stuff that she owned after she escaped from Erebin, after she bought her freedom from Erebin in the first place. She was like, I love all the fancy things. Give me all the fancy things.
Yeah.
And she had those while she was Otterlin's assassin.
I think it's cute, but I think people forget that like just because like you have to do certain things doesn't mean that that's you. Just like, you know, wearing scrubs doesn't mean I wear pajamas all day. I hate people that are like, oh, you just wear pajamas all day.
No, it's a uniform.
Like, no, it is a uniform. I can't understand. Like, I'm like, it's something you put on to go to work and then come home and wear whatever the hell you want.
Exactly.
Like, I don't understand. Like, I'm just saying. Like, maybe you know, maybe she was just cuter in her dresses and her little outfit. Actually, I don't know. You sent me a TikTok that I was like, damn, she was cute in her little like leathers. I was like,
I want to dress up as Selena, like in her full assassin outfit. I will do that one day. I just like need to buy the wig and all the outfit.
she's like, for Halloween, here we go.
For cosplaying, I will totally do it.
No, I couldn't.
I would so love to be Selena, but you can be Lysandra.
I was like, I could do like her in her dresses. Like I was like,
you could be Lysandra and I'll be Aelin as an assassin.
I'm like, well, let me be Manon.
Oh yeah,
I would
there we
love
go.
her red hair.
Yeah, but she's in like full leathers with a cape.
I
too.
know but see, the cape wouldn't bother me because the cape I could like feel like I'm
Wrap you
covering
around.
myself. Like, no, I've thought about her a million times. I'm like, dude, I could totally.
We should totally just take a day where it's like, hey, come out with hang out with aimless attention while we just get dressed like our favorite character.
I have seen some of those and they're kind of cool though. Like, yeah.
It's a possibility. Maybe we'll do a bonus episode since we're spending so much time in this world. So yeah, we start doing.
I'm like ready. I was just sitting while we were talking. I was like, what if I had fae ears? Like, would anybody even notice?
I'm so excited.
Like, if I was just like wearing like some
Manon
ears, would
doesn't have
anybody?
fae
No,
ears.
I know, but I'm saying we're in like the fae world.
That's
My brain
true.
was like,
we'll just start like every episode, just like slowly becoming more fae.
I'm totally
each
down.
filming
I'm
session.
totally down. I'm like, let's do it. Let's see how many people actually
We'll go
notice.
beyond our like cute T-shirts that we make and just like like
But then with all the people on Spotify, you'd have to be like, so today I'm wearing,
just a visual description of what we're wearing.
right?
Yeah, so should we start doing this? Kaol, we meet Brello, who is the like trainer, the armament guy for the army or the King's Guard, whatever. And he really kind of took Kaol under his wing when he first took on the role. So he left his father in Aniel. He was heir to be the Lord of Aniel. And he said, hey, I'm going to go do this thing. And he relinquished his title. So he left, pissed off his dad, and left his younger brother to be the one to have to take over. Dorian also has a younger brother who's a little shit as well. It's just like the thing, I guess.
The second child's always supposed to be the asshole.
Shit.
Yeah, I'm the baby, so I don't know. I don't know.
But yeah, so we get Kaol and Selena start sparring, kind of getting used to weapons again, and he notices, hey, she's got a scar on her left hand or her right hand, and he's like, what's that about? And she's like, oh, Arabin and told me that I wasn't skilled enough with my left hand with a sword, so he said, I'll break your hand or you can do it. And so she slammed her hand in a door to break it, and she broke like 3 bones or whatever. And that's when Kaol goes, wait, the king of the assassins was your master? And she's like, yeah, what about being Otterlin's assassin? Like, didn't convince you I was trained by the king of assassins? Like, Kaol does this multiple times where he has an issue with the fact that she's an assassin or is like confused about the fact that she's an assassin.
Yeah.
And that's part of
I think you sent me a TikTok where he was like staring at her as she's like walking down the stairs, like confused at like, who the fuck are you?
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't know. Like, because in his head, he's imagining like this perfect person and she's cute and she dresses all cute.
Mm-hmm.
And then she does things that he's like, what the fuck? Like, I don't know. But people are complicated. Nobody is as simple as like what you imagine them to be. So
yeah, it's true.
And he's 22. So he's obviously some growing up to do.
Yeah. And Selena also has this streak in her where she's really having a hard time not being first in all of these challenges. One of the things that happens is they have to shoot arrows into targets that are getting further and further away. And she's intentionally not hitting the bullseye. She's like, fuck you guys, I could totally win this if I wanted to. And we've met some of the other challengers. Cain is the most important one.
Yeah.
He will be an issue the entire book. But he's kind of the main one. And then we also meet, oh my gosh, the guy that she works with. Archer? Is it Archer? Or is Archer the guy from Crown of Midnight?
No, Archer's her, like, the
Oh, Archer's the courtier.
I was like, you're in the wrong...
Archer's the courtier.
Yes. I was trying to, like... but I didn't... I'm trying to think. I don't know what his name is. And I was trying to think, like...
Okay. So, the champions are Selena Sardathian, sponsored by Dorian. Cain, who was sponsored by Duke Parrington, who was going to be a massive
I was
thing.
trying to think. I was like, Duke something, and I couldn't get his name for the life of me. That's
Duke
why I didn't say
Parrington.
anything. I was like, it's Duke.
Yeah,
Like,
Duke Parrington is a massive thing that you don't realize it until you're later
I had
on.
a feeling that he was going to have something major, but not to
Not
the
that he
degree
was
that...
Erewhon.
Yeah, I was like, not to the degree that he was.
Xavier Farrell, Knox Owen. Knox Owen is the one who kind of ends up being her buddy.
He's the one that helps her with the wine?
No, that is Paylor.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Knox Owen
So then I had the wrong person in my head.
Yeah, so Knox Owen, they kind of end up befriending each other.
Yeah.
And they agree to kind of like help each other out with stuff. Bill Chastain, known as the Eye Eater. Ned Clement, known as the Scythe.
The Eye Eater, that was because of what he did when he
ate
was...
the eyes after he killed people.
After he killed people, okay.
Yeah. Grave, sponsored
Supposedly, it's pretty good, and it's got a lot of nutrients in it. So, you know, learn a fact every day.
Oh, my God. Grave, sponsored by Minister Mullison, who I don't even remember. Varen. I'm not even going to try to pronounce that last name. Paylor, Sven, and Renault, sponsored by Councilman Garnell. So we end up, when we get to the final battle, we have Cain, Selena, Grave, and I think Renault that are there at the end for the final battle. But they're doing the arrow shooting, and people start making fun of her, and she's just like, I don't want it. This fuck you guys. So then the very last target she can barely see, she perfectly hits the bullseye, and everyone just silences. And Kaol's fuming in the back, like, why did you have to do that? Because she's supposed to remain inconspicuous. She needs to be in the middle of the pack. Her the goal is to get the champions to not recognize her. She's supposed to seem like a non-threat to everybody else.
Yeah, but it would be hard. I don't know. It would be hard, especially, okay, could you imagine being like the top of like your class, but then your teacher's like, I need you to be in the middle of your class.
Yeah.
You'd be like, this is too fucking easy. I don't want to be here anymore.
Exactly. And I also just love that she has so much confidence in herself that she's just like, I could beat all of your asses. I am over this. This is stupid.
Right.
There's another challenge where they have to like climb up a building and capture a flag. And like all the other contestants are using ropes and they're going the straight up way. And she's got like a tin of tar and she's like slowly climbing up the side by herself, going a longer way because she's like, I can't win on my own, whatever. And that's when she ends up saving Knox because there's another champion who it might have been Grave who tries to cut him down.
I feel like Grave and Kane do a lot of like
Grave and
shitty
Kane
things,
do a lot of shitty things.
like to get people to like die and fall and. Because that's what you want to do. You want to keep as many of the contestants low as possible.
Yeah. So each time there was a test, somebody got eliminated or they died. So the people who lost were sent back to where they came from, whether they were slave camps or prisons or wherever else. And Selena is like, I cannot lose. I'm not going back to Endovir. Not happening. But then she sees Knox getting cut and she's like, I can't let him die. So she goes and saves him. They end up not winning that competition, but they are not the last, so they don't get sent home.
Yeah.
You also get killed if you try to escape. That does happen. One of the champions or the challengers tries to leave, and then they get killed. Speaking of leaving, when she was in Endovir, when the pickaxe incident happened, she almost touched the wall.
I was wondering when you were going to bring it up, and then I was like, maybe Katie's just going to, like, because that's like the very beginning. Like, and I was like, she just already jumped ahead, so I was like, leave it alone.
It's hard
because
Katie
there's stay in
so
line
much.
where she's at. Like,
there's just so much that happens in this book to keep it all in, but she almost touches the wall, and it scares the living daylights out of the people who are running Endovir because there's like no one is supposed to be able to do that. And it's very clear Selena has a will to live and capabilities that could very much overpower them if they don't keep her in line.
yeah.
She has 3 very prominent marks across her back from the whippings that she got when she first arrived. She got tied to a post and was whipped 3 times. And she has multiple other scars from her time as an assassin and everything as well. So her body's pretty marred up. And the scars are a huge thing for her for later on in this series as well.
Well, you can't be a girly girl if you're all scarred up.
That's not the issue. The issue we'll talk about it later.
I'm like, Katie's over here jumping the story again.
So anyways, she saves Knox and that kind of happens. And then there's like a dinner party and she gets told like, sorry, you can't come. And she's like, well, I like dinner parties. They're fun. I like getting dressed up.
I forgot about that. Okay, yeah.
And then she like sneaks out of her room to go watch everything. And that's how she ends up. That dinner party is the night she finds Elena's tomb. So Elena, Ash River, Havilyard is a direct line between. She's related to both Dorian and Selena distantly. Elena was married to Gavin, and Elena is daughter of Brannon of the Wildfire. So that is where Aylin's fire magic comes from, is down that line from Mala Firebringer all the way down. And she ends up in the tomb of Elena and Gavin. And she sees...
I don't remember how she gets down there.
Well, so there's some stuff going on. She ends up pulling apart this tapestry. She like pulls up this tapestry, and she sees 2 lines in the wall, and she's like, huh. That's a door.
But why did she pull up the tapestry? Why am I not remember? I remember all of the things you're talking about, but I don't remember what made her do any of this because she's supposed to be at the party.
Oh, she's not supposed to be at the party. She wanted to be at the party.
Dorian went to the party.
She does. So what happens is she tries to sneak out to go to the party. And she ends up in that back area behind her thing.
And then the wind starts to kind of blow through behind the tapestry.
Yes.
And she's like,
she
why
gets pulled
is
in.
there like wind blowing behind this tapestry when there's a solid wall?
Yeah.
And
So
there's no way wind would be there.
Yeah.
Okay.
So she gets pulled in.
I was like, wait, we were at the party. And then I swear she was watching people at the party.
Yeah,
so I was confused at the tapestry. I was like, how did we get here?
Yeah, so she goes into the tapestry. She goes behind the tapestry. She's in this like cavern of like different hallways and stuff.
Now I'm
and then she starts exploring, and that's when she sees the party, and she's like, I like parties. This is mean. I don't like this. Kael does catch her and notice that she's like spying.
Yes.
And then she ends up hearing what's going on in the corridor. She ends up going down into Gavin and Elena's tomb. And she kind of is like, okay, what's going on? And then Elena appears for her, and she's like, there is an evil here, and you need to win the championship. And she's like, I'm already gonna do that.
Right.
And
I feel like
Elena's
you're just a little too cocky at that point.
Elena's like, no, seriously, you need to win this. It's very important. And she's like, okay, weird ghost person. Like,
the problem that I have with the story is that I can think of all the other books too, and I'm trying to stay on track, and I'm like, wait, hold on, did that happen in this book or that next book? So that I keep trying to like pull it back. Listen to Katie. She's probably more.
I just listened to this, and I'm still like, wait, that's Crown of Midnight. That's an Air of Fire. That's in. I'm like, oh, there's so much to these, and they're all interconnected.
Yes.
So another character I want to say that we meet ahead. So let me talk about two other characters we meet, and then we can get back to the story. We meet Caltaine Rompier. So Caltaine was from she was from a lower born family, but she still had more money than the king of Otterland did. That was kind of like the big thing. She meets Duke Parrington, and she's like, hey, if I like proposition you, could you bring me to Rifthold? And then he's like, down. Yes, you're a cute young lady. Let's do this. So she's been like fighting off his advances since she got to Rifthold. She's like, please stay away from me. I just needed to come here. She's now a handmaiden to the queen, Dorian's mom, and I think her name's Georgina. And she's like, okay, I'm in my status thing. I need to she's trying to get Dorian, basically. She's trying to marry Dorian. She's trying to move up in her status, and she's just like cozying up to Parrington to keep her spot, but like enough to keep him at like arm's reach, you know? Yeah. And she has been battling headaches that she keeps complaining about. And she's like, I have an opium addiction, so that's probably just it. And that's what she keeps attributing it to. She does have like flashes of remembering that she had some sort of firepower before magic went away, which, by the way, magic went away 10 years ago. I forgot to mention that.
Oh my God, I totally forgot.
There's so much in this book. But that is a major part of it. No magic exists anymore.
Somewhere in my head, everybody already knew that.
Yeah.
It was just known. You already knew that, right? Like that was just known.
Anybody who's listening to this has already read Throne of Glass.
I would hope
but
so.
Like,
I think maybe that's why I was like, no, everybody knows that.
It's kind
Katie,
of a massive plot point, though.
Oh my God, it really is.
So there's no, which I have so many things to say about, but so yeah, there's no magic here. She has like flashes of remembering she had some sort of fire.
For some reason, I thought the opium addiction was because of the headaches.
So we later learned. It's noted throughout the Duke Parrington is wearing a dark ring.
Yes.
Throughout.
Yes.
We don't know anything about it. It's just like this random piece of jewelry that keeps getting mentioned. However, at the end of Throne of Glass, we get into the King of Otterland's POV, and he's talking to Parrington, and he's like, were you using your power on Caltaine? And he's like, yeah, I was, but I've been backing off on it. So we know at the end that he's been using some sort of power. We don't know what it is. We know he's Erewhon by the end of the book. So we know that though those headaches were him using his Volg powers to try to convince Caltaine to do things for him.
Oh, yeah.
The whole time.
Just a sick fucking situation.
Yeah, so Caltaine is like kind of flouncing around.
I hated her in the very beginning.
I did too.
Fucking hated her. But then once you gradually get to know her later, I'm like, I get it now. And I get like why she was kind of like the way she was, which kind of sucks because I don't know, dude. She was one of those people that I was like, ew, why did you write her into this book? Like, especially in book one, I was like, ugh. And then by like the end, I was like, damn it all to hell. Like,
she's a massive player in the game by the time you're in. And she's not even on page very much.
No, so you don't realize like how important she is. She's just annoying. You're just like, ew, God. Every time she's talked about, you're like, ugh.
So Caltaine, there are many moments where like Selena and Dorian are talking, and Caltaine's like, like, I'm right here, Dorian. You know, like she's very like jealous in front of him, and Dorian's just like eye rolling the whole time. Like, and Selena's like also eye rolling, like, I don't want your man, like, get away. Even though Selena slowly starts being like, I kind of want to kiss Dorian. Like, oh no, I kind of want to kiss Dorian. And one of the nights that Selena's having a rough time, she is trying to do something. I think it wasn't the same night as the party, but she was bored. She's like, I can't read the same books over and over again. Dorian had been sharing books with her out of his personal library because she had asked for access to the library, and he's like, here's some books. He walks in. Here's a continuity issue I have. In the beginning of the book, she talks about how she messed with her hinges on her door, so they're just like, when anybody tries to open it. So they're supposed to squeak like crazy. And she's supposed to know because she's a trained assassin. She's not going to have anyone sneaking up on her. She also made, out of like a bar of soap and some hairpins, she made like a knife. and all of this kind of stuff. There were multiple times Dorian and Kale just sneak into her rooms.
But do
multiple
they
times.
sneak into
While
her
she's
rooms?
asleep.
Like,
Or like
I
while
mean,
she's playing
or
the piano.
does she just kind of like they're here?
There's a couple times that she like is like, I know he's here. But Dorian doesn't say anything about the hinges on the door. Dorian walks in while she's playing the piano. The piano is super important to her. It's a skill that she learned. She loves.
But if you're playing the piano, can you hear the door hinges?
I think Dorian. It's in Dorian's
I think
POV.
you can too, but I just feel like maybe she wrote it out for a reason because SJM has weird ways of doing things that make you want to stab her, but she has reasons.
It's also the first book, so it could have just been something that got missed because it does. She does mention it later on that the hinges were squeaking or something like that. So I'm like, there's a time where she's playing the piano, and that's when Dorian stands in the hall and listens through the open door that he opened and doesn't mention that this door is making a bunch of noise. But he watches her, and then when he comes in, that's the first time that we get to hear about Sam.
Okay, so just so you guys know, Katie's writing a book. I think we've talked about this 1,000 fucking times. Katie, this is something you need to remember when you're rereading your book. Does the door hinges make noise? How did they sneak into the room? I mean, it just occurred to me that I'm like, this is going to be really shitty when we go to read your book and everybody's like, but Katie, you missed.
That's a valid point.
No,
I'm fine with.
I
with
just feel
things
bad
getting
because
pointed
I
out.
never noticed it. I didn't notice it, and I'm like lazy writing.
I think
and I didn't notice this at all. I'm like, wait a minute, what?
I think that's why I noticed it though, because I'm like, wait. Well, how does this? And it was only on a reread. When I first read it, I didn't notice it at all.
Yeah, I've reread this book twice and I don't recall. I'm over here like, did that really? Like, I don't remember the door hinges. I don't remember that at all, no matter how many times I try to think back.
Mm-hmm.
But then I'm just sitting here thinking like, you know, first book, maybe it's like a note in the Bible. Like,
Yeah.
I need to make
Very
sure.
possibly.
Like, if this door hinge creaks, they don't creak. I mean, that's too funny. I didn't notice it.
Because she has a couple times where she's dead asleep and then like Dorian's sitting on her bed or KL is just staring at her.
I remember these. I don't remember the door hinges.
Yeah,
like,
but that's why I was like, she went through all of these things to make sure she wouldn't get snuck up on because she is the most like prestigious assassin ever to exist. And then it's just like, no, but the guys are hot, so we're just going to forget about the fact that they can't get that.
Maybe that's why. Maybe that's why I'm like, I don't know. I don't know. Part of me is like, if he was hot and I knew he was sneaking in, would I care? Would I be like,
I don't know that I would care.
Just
Dorian
ignore it and be like, hey, honey. No, I didn't know you were coming. Oh, I don't know. Like my brain, I don't remember that at all. But I do remember like, I just don't remember like thinking about like the door hinges making noise.
Yeah.
But there is a scene where they do make noise and she hears it and she's like, oh.
Yep.
So that's why I'm like, I do remember that. I just don't remember the whole sneaking in on her. I'm like,
also a reminder, this is book club. 90% of these things are going to be out of order.
oh yeah, God.
So we're just talking about our favorite things we like about this book.
I was like, we're aimlessly attention ourselves.
We are
to
full
whatever.
aimless attention
right? Like
today.
I'm like, we're just like, whatever. This book is so great. We could be all over the place.
So one thing I will say is at that moment at the piano when she talks about when she was in love, Dorian asks if she was in love with him and stuff, and she talks about Sam. That moment is not as impactful without Assassin's Blade.
Yeah, I guess I get that. I guess, yeah.
I think that's the only storyline out of Assassin's Blade, though, that I feel like could have been nice to know before you went into it, because you know how brutal that whole thing was to her.
Yes, but this is why I loved Assassin's Blade, because you read this book and you're like, oh my God. But then it also, the reason why I liked that it was a separate book and you didn't know any of this stuff was because it makes it more impactful when you get further in. You realize, because right now you're just getting to know her. Like, you don't know everybody's story right away, right? You don't get to,
that's true.
Like, you have to build the story. You don't get to just know the person.
Yeah.
I guess that's what I like. The only thing I can't stand about SJM is that she fucking just, her character building and her story world building is just too long for me. Just too fucking long for me.
And I think we kind of see in Throne of Glass, we see kind of a more shimmery view of Selena as well. We see this mask that she's wearing for everyone where she's very swaggery. She doesn't let a lot of things hurt her. And when we read Assassin's Blade, we know that's not the truth. We know that this is completely a mask she's wearing. She kind of mentions it in Throne of Glass a little bit, and we do see some of that hurt she experiences, but it's not to the extent of what Assassin's Blade does to her.
No, but that's what I appreciate about the way she wrote the books, was because you get like what a real person would be going through. Like you get like, this is like the person that you get to see. You don't get to see all the undercover shit. Like that's why I think reading the prequel ahead is like cheating.
Yeah.
I feel like you're a
That's
fucking
true.
cheater. You know, you don't get to know me. You got to come in and learn me. That's how I feel about it.
I also think one of the things that worked with her and Dorian and why I liked the two of them together is because Dorian takes a moment to notice the soft spots of her. I think Kale focuses initially on how hard she is, on how her training surprises him, and how she's this crazy assassin. She's been in this camp. She's a dangerous person. He's constantly telling Dorian to stay away from her, all this kind of stuff. He's actively still falling for her during that time, but he's not like taking those moments to be like, she plays the piano. That's beautiful. She has been in love. Yes. So I'm saying that Dorian kind of embraces those softer parts of her when she relies so heavily on the hardness of her heart.
They would have been a good throuple. It just occurred to me as you were talking. I was like, this would be a throuple situation.
You know what? I would be okay with that because Dorian and Kale are totally in love with each other.
I can't fucking handle them as a throuple. But
I don't want to read a throuple, but if I have to read a throuple, I'll read Kale, Dorian, and Selena.
I do agree. They do kind of love each other in a weird way, don't they?
They are so in love with each other.
Okay, so I guess that shows like your personality though, right? Like that's why she doesn't end up with Kale is because he doesn't see past certain things, and that's why Dorian was probably too soft for her because he sees all the soft things. I don't know. It gives you that, but which is why they would be a great throuple, right? Because he sees this side and then it gets it all together. It just made me think of it. I don't know why. Yeah, I'm tired. I don't like throuples. I don't. This occurred to me the other day. Okay, again, aimless attention here. So this occurred to me the other day. If throuples bother me for two reasons. I'm a selfish bitch and I want you to have nobody but me. Because I thought about this. How do you build a throuple? You have to be able to give time to the other person. That would fucking bother me. First of all, that would bother me. And then second of all, how do you divide the time? Because there's like only so much time in the day. I don't know. It just bothered me. I'm just too selfish. And I want you to focus solely on me.
Yeah, me too.
I'm
too jealous.
Right? I was like, how do throuples work where you're not like...
I would not go
You're
well
paying too much attention to them. Like, even if you were doing the 3 thing, I would be like, hey, I'm over here. Like...
Kiss me, not them.
And then if you were doing like the things to me, and then the other person was like, "Hey, I'm over here," I'd be like, "Sorry." I don't know. It bothers me.
Yeah, I couldn't do that.
It occurred to me like, but in this situation, it would be in this, and obviously it wasn't in our day and age, but like nowadays that would be considered throuple.
And then thankfully there are no throuples.
There are no throuples.
But yeah, you're right. I mean, I think, like I said, SJM wrote Aelin and Dorian to eventually be soulmates. And I think in all reality, throughout the course of the book, I think they are soulmates in terms of that they share a really significant bond, but they also have similar heritage. Like they literally are related to each other.
I was thinking
very distantly, but they are related to each other.
It's not related to each other.
I think the point is that the bloodline's so diluted at that point that it's not even like a problem. But I think like why Dorian kind of slips in as being the first person that she kind of starts falling for out of the two of them is because of that. He stops it for a moment. It's like, she likes to read books. Here are some of my favorite books. She likes to play the piano. I'm going to sit with her and have her play the piano, and the piano will come back in and be another important moment for her when she eventually meets Rowan as well. But she always loved going to the opera and stuff, and
do you think that the reason why he doesn't see anything, Kale doesn't see anything beyond like the military type thing is because that's what he's trained to like? Do you think that it's like a personality trait? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
maybe
it's not that he's intentionally missing it. It's just that's his personality trait where like Dorian was kind of trained to be like a personable person because that's going to be his job eventually. Like their jobs have kind of like molded who they've become.
Absolutely. And I think another part of it is because protecting Dorian is like Kale's, beyond him being his best friend, is his number one job in the world, basically. Being and he will eventually become the king's hand later on, but he is he's very important, and keeping Dorian safe is his number one goal. So he sees Selena, she's she's fun, she says fun things, she's kind of mean sometimes, but he's the one in the training room going, oh my god, did you see her throw that dagger?
Right.
Oh my god, he is able to overpower her when they're sword fighting initially, but not later. Like it becomes very clear she's holding back on him for a lot of things.
Yeah.
And so I think he is initially very protective of that, but he also sees that fire in her, and that's what ends up drawing him to her. We also meet Nehemia, who is the princess of Ilwe, it's another kingdom in the north, kind of like Terrasen, that is in the midst of having a rebel group rising up. There's whispers about the fact that she came to court only to be a spy, which turns out to be true. But that's not revealed till later. Nehemia is there trying to, make things better, basically. Trying to make sure her people don't get attacked is what the front is that's placed.
Yeah.
Again, Calacola is another slave camp that they have, a labor camp that they have that has been set up in Ilwe, and many of her citizens are there. And being horribly treated. So she really wants to fight that. She doesn't speak the common language very well. She mainly speaks Ilwe. And Selena knows Ilwe. And so they kind of connect with that initially, and they start kind of joking around about all the stupid people around them and everything. And it takes Nehemia a while, but she's like, you were in Endovir. That's why you know Ilwe. It's because you were speaking to other people.
Yeah.
You were speaking to Ilweans. And so that's when she ends up getting the name Elentia, which is spirit that cannot be broken. Nehemia is a very important character in a lot of ways, both character building wise and story building wise. So Nehemia is Aylin's first female friend since Ansel. And Ansel screwed her over in the Red Desert. So, and when we actually, I wrote this down because I was like, oh my God, sorry, I got to tell you about this. So, and Nehemia, she's talking to Nehemia, and Nehemia says something, or she says something about being grateful that they're friends. And then Selena says she hears hoofbeats and has to shake her head to get it away. So when she hears that from another woman.
But you don't meet her until
Assassin's Blade.
Okay.
We meet Ansel in Assassin's Blade.
You don't meet her. She comes back later, but she's not in this story.
Which is another moment that is just like a little sprinkling of Selena has been screwed over by female friendships in the past. That Ansel was really probably her only true female friendship she had, because she wasn't friends with Lysandra when they were actually in Arobyn's clutches. And so Ansel is kind of the first female she really connects with, because she's in an all-male assassins guild.
Yes.
Sam ends up becoming her best friend and eventually lover, the first person she ever loves. And Ansel is the only one that she really connects with on a female level, and then Ansel screws her over in the Red Desert, and she gives Ansel enough time to escape, and she hears the hoofbeats of her running away.
Yeah.
And so when she talks to Nehemia and mentions that, they're friends, she's like, I remember the last time.
No, I get
but
it.
It's very subtle.
I totally get it. I was just thinking that, I don't know. I still just think that it's cheating. to get the pre-read.
Well, I'm not saying to pre-read it, but I'm just saying it's cool to see the connections to Assassin's Blade that we get with this. We have other connections that we'll get with other books as well that I will bring up, because I have a whole list that I wrote down.
Katie was too excited.
I love this. This is my God tier series. Like, I could reread this over and over and over again, and it would never ever stop mattering to me every time.
So this one's funny, because this is how Aimless Attention was brought to light, was because Katie was reading this, and I started laughing, and I go, oh my God, isn't this book old? And Katie's just staring at me like I lost my fucking mind. And then I looked at it. It was written in 2013 is when she published. So I read it in 2013. This is why it had to be reread, because I was like, I don't know what the hell happened. Yeah. The book just kind of fell off one day. Like, I didn't realize that it wasn't done when I started reading it. It just looked interesting. I was like, sure, why not? And then I don't know. And then that's how we started talking. And then Katie was like, you read? Oh my God. I was like, please God, put me out of my misery now. Sometimes I tell your mom, why the fuck did I ever speak? Should have just let it be alone. Been like, no, I don't know words. They don't come to me.
It's fun.
Right. No, I'm actually not hating it. I am hating the book that I'm trying to get through right now, that I'm like, you've got like chapters left. Just fucking finish it. What do you call it? Hate reading? Is that what you call it?
Yeah.
That's what I'm doing right now. I'm hate reading it.
Oh, man.
Oh, dude. And I was talking to a friend last night, and I was trying to tell her, I was like, it was so good until this fucking book. And now I'm just like, And it's the last book too. So I'm trying to like push through. Like, I'm like, just finish the fucking series. But yeah, no, this one I had a lot of hate for. There's many books that I have more hate for coming forth This book particular, I don't have hate for. This one I actually really enjoyed. And rereading it, I still enjoyed.
Yeah.
She could have ended after Assassin's Blade and I'd have been like, good.
It's such a I think the cool thing about her books being so interconnected is that when you do a reread, you're like, oh shit the whole time. At least I am. I'm like, oh my god, did you see this here? But yeah, so Nehemia is really important to her character, not only because she gets this female friend, and that is going to be super impactful for her later on. But Nehemia also moves the story forward because Nehemia recognizes word marks, and they are everywhere. So we start seeing champions go missing and dying, and they are getting ripped to shreds. Their brain is missing, their organs are gone. It is a awful sight. And so they one by one, these champions are getting picked off. And Selena starts noticing things because she's like, hey, I want to look. And Kael's like, initially is like, no. You are Otterlin's assassin. I'm not bringing you to go look at this kind of stuff. And then eventually he's like, well, she might actually be kind of helpful at this, because he brings her in and she's immediately like, yeah, so his Achilles tendons were slashed and that's why he can't run. And then they sharpened his claws on the wall, so that's what those are. And then she's just like looking at it, and Kael's like, okay, she's helpful, but oh god, that's scary too.
It's gross though.
Yeah. But Selena knows exactly. She's like, they immobilized him, but he was alive when they killed him because there's blood smeared on the walls, not sprayed either. And it's just like, she's describing all this
stuff.
stuff.
Is this something that you can picture, or you still only see this as very like?
It's very like a dim outline, but I can kind of like, it's like flashes of like, I could see like a sprayed blood.
No,
like
I could see like the physical body on the floor and like the eyes being.
I
eaten
just want
out
to put
and
a
the
reel
blood.
in
Like,
your head.
It's just so gross though. The shit that like, this is my imagination's too buck wild. Sometimes I see more than what the author's actually written.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, and then I'm like, no, she didn't. That was just me adding extra detail to that gory scene. Yeah,
no, it's
like
pretty
I
bad.
picture like running across the wall and just dragging your hand, trying to like tell somebody I was alive, I swear. Like I just picture gross things. Sometimes my imagination gets the best of me though when I'm reading these things. Like, and then sometimes when the author doesn't put extra information, my brain's just like, don't worry, we'll fill it in. Like his eyeballs were squashed on the floor like grapes. I don't know. It's gross. Mm-hmm. But I think about it all the time because I don't think people see it that way. I think people see like what you see. Like, yes, I can see the pictures, but they see it as like snippety pictures.
Yeah.
I'm over here like, oh yeah.
There's
no,
tons of people
like,
that see things the way you do.
It was just like his brain was cracked open and his brain was half of his brain was eaten and the other half was like smashed on. Like
my other question though is, again, Kael is the captain of the King's Guard, and he's a 22-year-old in charge of investigating all these bodies. And I get it, but I
guess like you have to think of it this way, okay? So think of like the time it was written in.
That's
like
true.
22 back when our like great grandparents, that would have been like, you would have been like top of the fucking like, you would have been an old person.
Old
22, you would have been like you would have been ancient. They would have been like, oh, he's gonna die in like 5 years.
Yeah.
Get on it, buddy. You need to be having kids already. You're an old man. Your grandbabies won't even be born. I don't know. Like
that's true.
We now have like changed societies. Like people don't even have kids till they're like 30 now.
Well, people just live so much longer. We also, like you said, this is not our time frame. They're living in a lot worse conditions than we are. With our indoor plumbing and our lights and all that kind of stuff.
Though too, I think, because I don't know, society's changed. Because I was sitting there thinking when you were talking, and I was like, 22, you're an old man. He should have Dorian should have been married at like 13 and been expected to already be having children.
Well, that's why Selena's like, why haven't you married yet? You're 19 years old.
You're so old. You're 6 years older than you should have been married already. Like I don't know. I don't know. Mm-hmm. It's creepy to think about though. But 22, I guess, like now that I'm sitting here thinking about it, would have been an older, like he would have been like a 30-something.
That's true.
Like
I guess I picture Kael as like a 30-year-old because he acts like it all the time.
He does act like it.
Whereas
when
Dorian,
you told me, I was like, he's got it.
Dorian doesn't act like he's 19. He acts like he's like 25 to me. Like mid-20s, like swagger dude.
She also was 17 when she was writing this, so maybe she was just like, you know, these men are
group.
like.
That's true.
22, I have a 24-year-old that's like still, I don't know. At 22, I had my shit together, though. I had my own business at 22. I was fully like, yeah.
It's not like you're totally incapable. I just think it's interesting that he's so young and he's in charge of so much.
I guess like your thought probably on this situation though is like, how do you tell, like, you know, like I guess with age you learn things like the blood splattering versus the blood smearing would be a normal.
And Kael has never killed anyone at this point.
That's true.
So he's investigating all this stuff. He's like, I don't know, this is pretty bad. Some creature like ate it, I guess. He's like, they're torn apart. These bodies are nasty. We do find out later So she learns from Nehemia about the word marks.
Yes.
And then she'll learn from like Elena and stuff about the word gates, and she starts researching stuff.
Yes.
She learns about the word gates, which were portals that would open up between worlds and stuff. And we learn later on that the gods that they worship ended up in their world on accident, and the whole war with Erewhon started with there was a deal made with Erewhon and the gods that he would get them out of that world and send them back home if they helped him out, basically. And then Elena didn't know that when they were in the war with him, and she sealed him in the coffin. So that's what happened with Erewhon in the war. We get the first inklings of this war.
Yes.
And not necessarily like the whole battle, but we know Erewhon was a player in it. We know he was from a different world, and that and he was a dark power, and that Elena and Gavin were the active leads in fighting it. And that's kind of all we really get to know. But Elena's like, there's a dark power that's not gone yet.
As you're talking, my brain's like, okay, so does Crescent City, does Throne of Glass, and does Akatar, do they all fight the war together? My brain went completely like, I hope this is how it ends. But then I was like, fuck.
I want to see Aelin interact with Rhysand and Bryce. I think the three of them together are going to be fucking hilarious.
Well, I was just thinking like, yeah. Part of me was like, is Bryce and Selena like distant cousins? Was my other thought.
I don't know. So we know that Selena and Lydia are related.
Okay.
I don't think that Bryce and her are related, but I think Bryce has connections to the Dust Court in Akatar because she's a.
But you see how like they always interconnect. I was just trying to figure out like who connected where.
Yeah. Speaking of that, when they are at the Yulmus temple thing. The priestess has an 8-pointed star tattooed on her brow.
How I fucking feel about the star.
I was like, the Dust Court, Starborn Fae. I was freaking out. That all happens. She's learning about the word marks. She's learning about the word gates. Elena's slowly giving her more. She's like, I'm here to protect you. She gives her the Eye of Elena, which is the amulet.
Yeah.
She's like, this will protect you against dark elements
when he
and stuff.
Mentioned her earlier, I was waiting for it, and then I was like, don't jump ahead. I don't know where Katie's brain is at.
And then Dorian is like looking at her, and he's staring at her neck, and he's just like, what? And he's like, Elena used to have, and she's like, shit. She's like, it's just, I just found it in my jewelry box. Like, leave me alone. And he's like, so, and he like tells the full story because Dorian's extremely intelligent. He's really well read. He knows a lot of information that he probably shouldn't know because he is really well read. And Selena's just like, you're not supposed to know anything of this, so I'm just gonna pretend that this is it's a replica, and we're just gonna move on from this. We actually see the gods play into this some more. So I kind of mentioned Yulmus already. There's more things that happen. So Yulmus is kind of the indicator that we're getting close to the end of the trials. 1 week after Yulmus was when the final competition was about to happen.
Yes.
Before that, we do get the poisons test where they have to take the goblets and line them up. And she's staring at one that looks like water and one that definitely looks like regular wine. And she's lined up all the other poisons. And she's looking around the room. And Elena had told her, look to your right. Your answers will be there. And that's when she looks at Paylor, who is the assassin, who is a expert in poisons.
Yes.
And he like looks at her and he puts the water one all the way at the end, which is the most poisonous, which was Bloodbane. And like gives her a little smirk, and she's like, she said, look to the right. I'm going to look to the right. And then she ends up winning along with Paylor for that. Then we're kind of led into Yulmus. There's a lot of different things that happen throughout. She sees Elena a lot of times and stuff, but we go up to Yulmus, and we'll talk about Yulmus a little bit for this is airing later, but we talk about Yulmus in our Christmas episode a little bit.
We talk about everything.
This is their kind of version of Christmas, or like a pagan Yule.
I mean, because that's 100% what Christmas is.
Yeah,
I'm sorry to my friends that know I read the Bible. That does not mean that Christmas is still what it is.
Yeah, it's based off a pagan holiday. So Yule is kind of the basis of the thing for it, and they go to temple. And during the temple, which Selena's just like, I don't want to go, and Kale's like, come on, you're going, and so Kale drags her down, and she like starts falling asleep. And he wakes her up and is like, you gotta wake up. And she's just like, looks at him, and she's like, you were asleep too.
Right.
And he's like, I was until you started drooling on me. And she Oh, I think there was another. Oh, when that there previously before this, I think there was another ball that they had, and he brought back a ring for her that had an amethyst set in it. That
Kale.
all of the Kale did. That all of the ladies were getting, and he had like taken one to go give to her because she wasn't allowed to go. Anyways, she's wearing that ring. So we're in the temple
Because she's in this weird, stupid throuple. Like she can't pick. She can't pick one. She's like, let's just take both.
Well, Kale's like coming
do
onto her in a
the-
lot more subtle way. Dorian's very much like, I want you. Dorian also, she wakes up on Yulmus and she's got candy.
Oh,
And
I forgot about that.
Dorian also, that was the other thing. So Dorian, she's a few days before that, she's throwing up, and Kale's like, "You're sick. Like, what's wrong with you?" And she's like, It's my menstrual cycle. Like, I'm on my period." And Kale's like, "Oh, okay, bye." And he like leaves, and then Dorian comes in and he's like, "Hey, I heard you're not feeling well." And Kale's like an idiot, so like I'm just gonna be here. And he like lays down with her and like makes her comfortable and like is very sweet with her while she's dealing with this. And then he gifts her candy, especially chocolate, for Yulmus. And then the other thing he gifts her is Fleetfoot.
The thing that people don't realize about chocolate, though, is that was only a rich thing. That if you've ever had candy when you were little, it was because you were rich, not because that was not... Confectionery sugar was not something you can get, like, back then unless you were rich.
Yeah,
I think it was,
Selena
like,
spent a lot of her life rich, though.
2 pence or something a pound or something, which was like super freaking expensive. I don't know. It was just one of those weird facts that popped up.
Because they were
the other
getting
day.
cane sugar from like the Caribbean and stuff, right?
But this is not something that like you had to have it like shipped in. It was a whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't think people realize like candy was a big deal. Like
yeah,
it was like, oh my god.
So
candy.
Selena loves candy.
I mean, who doesn't love candy? But I just thought it was interesting because I don't think people put the timeline in perspective when thinking about the candy. Like that was a big deal. Like the dog is a little less of a deal. I was like the candy. Like that's
the candy.
true.
She's like shoving candy in her mouth.
Yeah.
Her mouth is like bright red from the candy.
And Fleetwood irritates me because the dog like pops up and then disappears. Like
so Fleetfoot is actually, so Dorian keeps talking about how his dogs were breeding and he just hopes that they're pure because the bitches were breeding and he just hopes that they're pure bloods, but that one keeps escaping, so who knows who she went and fucked, like that's just like every time he talks about it. And Selena's just looking at him like, what are you?
You are doing exactly the same thing, buddy. You just keep wandering off.
This is what you spend your time on, but whatever. So then the pups are born, and he's just like, they're not pure, so we're going to kill them. And she's like, don't kill the dogs, you asshole. Like, no. So then she, especially Fleetfoot is the one where she's like, don't kill him, and don't kill her. And he's just like, what am I supposed to do with it? And she's like, well, not kill her. Like, give her to a family. I don't know. Just don't kill her.
I love how everybody loves this fucking dog, but this dog is only brought up for like, I don't know.
Fleetfoot again. Yeah,
multiple times, but very little. She's about brought up as much as like.
It's like, oh yeah, I have to explain where the dog is. We dropped her off at a family. Like
it was so stupid.
Happening. But yeah, so she gets gifted Fleetfoot, and that's like a big thing is that he gave her the dog, and then she goes to Temple Chaol. And then there's a procession of children that are blindfolded that are each supposed to represent the gods.
Yes.
And the one for Deanna stops in front of her and gives her the golden arrow and said, like, Deanna will bless you and stuff. The interesting thing about this, I wrote it down. The interesting thing about her getting Deanna's thing is that Deanna and Mala Firebringer were sisters, and they did not get along. Yes, so she receives Deanna's arrow, and she's supposed to like protect it. I wrote it down, but it's not any more than what is coming up in my head. Not any more helpful than this. But they were sisters. They did not get along. She gets gifted the arrow of Deanna and says, Deanna, we'll bless you, blah, blah, blah. This little tiny, like, beautiful child gifts her this. And then she turns to Chaol and she's like, I'm assuming you want to take the weapon from me. And he's like, nah, you can keep it. I don't want to deal with a god's blessing.
It's like little, right? It's
no,
like
it's a full-on golden arrow.
Okay, then I must have missed that in the book. I thought for some reason when I read the book it was
like
up
until this point, all of her weapons she's been allowed to play with have been, like, dull weapons that she could personally do damage with, but the point is that it's not going to be easy if she tries, and it's all under direct supervision. So she's like, so you're going to let me keep this sharp object? And Chaol's like, I'm not going to mess with a blessing of the gods. Like, this is not a thing I'm going to do. So she ends up getting that. The interesting thing though is that in Kingdom of Ash, when she goes to close the gate, the very first god that laughs at her when she tries to make a deal to save Elena is Deanna. Deanna's like, fuck you, bitch, and she leaves. Mala is the one who ends up gifting her that kernel of power in the end. So it's interesting to see that we get this kind of like false hope that Deanna is going to be the one to protect her. And in the end, Deanna is the one that absolutely fucks her over along with the other gods. But Deanna's the first one to be like, nope, bye. So that was the first thing I was excited about. Actually, it was the priestess first with the 8-pointed star. I was like jumping up and down. And then it was the Deanna arrow. And I was like, wait, Mom, the Firebreaker was her sister. So yeah, I started freaking out about that. And then the Yulmus ball happens that night. And she's told, you're not coming. And she's like, every single other time I've snuck out and watched you guys doing something, all the other champions are there and I'm not allowed to be there. So she convinces Philippa, who's her maid, to help her get dressed for the ball. And it's a masked ball. So she's like, and Philippa's like, well, how are we going to convince your guards that you're allowed to go? And she's like, because we're going to tell them that the crown prince invited me. And she's like, okay. So they sneak her out. She goes in, and then she kind of has a Cinderella moment where she's walking down the stairs in this beautiful gown, and Chaol and Dorian are just like jaw dropped staring at her. And Dorian's like, I love this girl. I love her. I love her.
And then this is when Chaol's like, we need to take her back to her room.
Yep. Chaol intercepts her. Dorian's like, I'm going to go get her. And then Chaol grabs her arm and pulls her into the crowd and is like, what the fuck are you doing here? And they start arguing and stuff. And then Dorian eventually comes over and is like, dance with me. So then they dance together and they have like a really sweet night. And he ends up walking her back to her chambers and stuff. And he kisses her. And then she panics while they're kissing. She's like, wait. This is the son of the person who has caused so much harm to me. So she like stops and she kind of has this like I can't go any further moment. Plus, if you remember from Assassin's Blade, she didn't sleep with Sam. She kept putting it off that they were going to sleep together once they hit a certain point in their relationship. She wasn't ready to have sex with him yet.
Well, she was a child.
Correct. She was like 17. She was young.
I thought she was younger than that. I thought she was closer to 16.
She was 16 to 17 in Assassin's Blade.
Yeah.
But while she's with Sam, she keeps saying, no, not yet. Like, we're not at the point in our relationship. I'm ready for this and stuff. And so then when it comes down to it and she's with Dorian, she, like, you think about it, like, she's like, I was totally in love with Sam. And now this is a person who's my enemy. I can't do this. And so she ends up, they end up kissing a few more times after that, but it's fairly chaste most of the time. There's not like a lot to it. There's still some heat to it. She wants him. He wants her. There's kind of a little push and pull, but in the background, there is still Chaol. And Chaol is kind of always pushing at the back of her mind too, that Chaol had, I think she even says at one point that he has very familiar eyes because he has light brown eyes like Sam did. So I'm like, did you know that there's romance in this book? But yeah, so they have the whole Yulmus Ball thing happen. And I want to say it's kind of a parallel that we're going to see because by the end of Throne of Glass, Dorian's like, you're going to be here for another 4 years. This is amazing. You and I can be together. And she's like, no, we can't. I'm the king's champion. You're his son. There's no world in which this works. And I've never been free in my entire life.
Yeah,
I'm not sacrificing my freedom for you. Like, I can't do that. And he's just like, okay. Like, he just totally just like, he's upset about it, but he's like, I'm not going to force her into anything. But that is what ends their whole thing. They make it through Throne of Glass with her wanting him. Again, Chaol's in the back there. Chaol is constantly kind of like supporting her and urging her forward in a lot of ways. And Chaol is the one who kills Cain in the end when they're in the fighting ring and she is poisoned. So he ends up saving her life and is the first kill he ever first person he ever kills in his life is Cain to save Selena. So it's kind of
become the captain's guard and not kill anybody.
I don't know. That's my other question. Is that
he's not an army? To me, like, you know, like you're in the military, you've done all of the things, you haven't killed anybody, but you get to be the top guy. I was thinking like, okay, like I get like the royalty nobility thing, but I don't know, like.
That was my other question, too, because Chaol really struggles with the fact that he has killed somebody by the end. And Selena actually is a person he leans on because he looks at her and says, wow, she is okay. Like, she's managed to be okay after all of the killing she's done.
Are you okay?
She's not okay.
You're just like, you just got to put that shit in another box and lock it away.
But it's also an interesting point that I wanted to note because, again, a lot of the reason why Kaol is hated by a lot of people is because he's uptight, and also because he doesn't respect who Selena is, who Aelin is.
He is uptight though.
He is uptight, but he's also kind of my type in a lot of ways. But he looks at her and is like, she has so much blood on her hands and she still is happy and thriving, and there's got to be a way for me to do that too. So he looks at her as a promising thing. And then the next book, he's like, I can't believe you killed someone.
I know. I was thinking that. I was like, but he's a little fucking crybaby. The whole goddamn time you're just like, shut the fuck up. Here's my other problem with him though. Like, you can get past anything. Like, we're resilient in many ways. Like, what the fuck is he talking about? Like, I'm not saying that like you should get past everything, but like to survive, you have to be like, all right, but that needs to go in that box, lock it up.
Again,
like,
to your point though, how has he been the captain's guard and not assumed he would end up like injuring or killing somebody at some point? Like, that's his whole purpose. Like,
maybe because he is the captain of the guard, he doesn't have to fucking ever fight. Like, maybe
he sends
like,
everybody else out.
Like he's like, you go kill blah blah blah, and I'll stand here with my sword and look mighty. I don't know. Like, you're just making me hate the poor guy. I didn't think about him in that light. Now I'm very upset with him.
That's why I don't end up liking. But if I'm looking at just Throne of Glass on its own, I do see how Kaol and her get together, because I think there's a real bonding moment for them in that.
Yes,
and I think Kaol, while Dorian does stop and see the softer points of her, I think Kaol looks at her and says the sharper edges I'll accept. Even though Dorian never judges her for any of that kind of thing. And I think that's why we get that line in Crown of Midnight where he says you can't pick and choose which pieces of her to love. Which is so good, and just props to you, Dorian, for that. But that's why I love Dorian in general, is because I think he loves Selena as a person, as the whole of her. I don't think he looks at her and is like, I only want the part that plays the piano. I only want the part that wears the dresses. He's like, I understand who she is and I love all of it. But that's why Dorian and her are such good friends by the end of it as well. Kaol takes some time to kind of grasp everything, but Kaol does have his own journey that he heals from too by the end.
Yeah, I think it's definitely one of those things. Plus, you got to think, like, well, I don't know if it's in this book or not. That's why I'm like, shit. But Kaol's parents have a very weird...
Yeah, so we get a mention of Kaol's parents. His dad is pissed because he, abdicated his throne, basically.
Yes.
And his mother is not contacting him. That's kind of the gist we get. His dad's pissed off. He's an asshole. His mom's no longer contacting him.
But if your dad is an asshole like that and your mom is that much of like a pushover to be with that asshole, it doesn't really teach you how to deal with you're looking for a submissive person that like doesn't know any better because that's all you know. Mm-hmm. Like, you're just like, well, that like...
Kaol doesn't do well with things he can't mold.
That's true too.
And Selena is not moldable.
No, but she was already like kind of like, I don't know, you can't take somebody that's been in the situations that she's been in and expect them to be moldable. Like, at that point you just have to expect that they're gonna be like, she comes pre-trained is how my brain wants to like.
I think part of that too is because Selena does have so many secrets that there's a lot of her past that he doesn't understand. She does open up a little bit about some of it.
Not enough
and
though.
But again, there's so much she's hiding in general, just because she can't she can't have people know, especially in Rifthold, who she is.
No.
We kind of going back to the fantasy elements of this plot, we get the first mentions of the clock tower, and there's something weird being about it. It is like this really, really dark stone. There's gargoyles on it. It's threatening. It's menacing. There are word marks all over the front of it. And Nehemia lies to her and says that she can't read word marks.
Oh, yeah.
And when she ends up, so Kane is, again, Parrington is who sponsors Kane. Kane is, he's summoning, it's called the Ritterach.
Yeah.
Which is the beast that's coming in and killing things. And she finds, Selena's reading through one of the books that says that if you summon the Ritterach, you can absorb the strength of whoever it killed. And so that's how Kane's been, she's watching him week by week, just actively bulking and building muscle, getting stronger, being more menacing, being more crazed as well. And when she's going through those back passages, he's summoning the Ritterach to kill another champion, not her at the time. And he's like, oh, it wasn't supposed to be you, but I guess it's you this time. And that's when she slays the Ritterach the first time.
Yeah.
We also find out later that Nehemia does know word marks, and she's been following Cain around, just like reversing everything he's doing. She's just like, go back home, Ritter Rock, go back home, Ritter Rock. And then when she wasn't able to succeed is when the champions were dying. So she's been like constantly, and Aelin at one point she drops her book below her bed, and she pushes she goes to get it, and she notices there's white chocolate underneath her, and she moves the bed, and it's just a slew of word marks. And she's like, shit. So she goes and cleans it off. She's like, someone's trying to kill me. And then Nehemia's like, why did you do that?
I know. It's like the one time she's like, I was protecting you, you stupid bitch.
Yeah, Nehemia's like, I was trying to make you not die, okay?
I don't know. I would have done the same thing, okay? Especially when all you think word marks are bad.
Mm-hmm.
Like, everything you've seen is like, bad, bad, bad. I would have been like,
portals to other worlds, crazy demons coming.
Right?
Yeah, so again, Cain is also... Elizabeth Evans doing Cain's voice is so good. I just want to point that out. She does the same thing with Karen in Kingdom of Ash. You're just like, they're so menacing and creepy. I love it. So just shout out to Elizabeth Evans. She does a fantastic job in the audiobook. Cain is like her massive enemy throughout all of these trials. And then we get to the final trial, which is the last 4 champions go into duels together. Cain beats the shit out of the first guy he's against, and she goes second, and Kael's like, and she's telling Kael, she's like, this was on purpose, wasn't it, that I don't get a break? And he's like, I'm sure you're going to get a break. Don't worry about it. Kaltain's also there. Kaltain's just hanging out and like sneering at her, and Nehemia's watching. And she's about to step into the ring, and Nehemia's like, take my... She does the first fight, and she knocks the guy out in 2 minutes, like less than 2 minutes. She's just like, bye, whatever, fuck off. Then she's supposed to go off against Cain. And then the king's like, wait, everyone, come drink wine. And she's like, looks at Kael. She's like, I don't get a fucking break in between my fights. And he's like, I guess not. So then they go drink the wine, and that's when they poison her with the blood bane.
Yes, but she should have known, though. Like, come on. Like,
I know.
He taught you this.
I know. It's the one poison she couldn't identify.
But that's because, isn't it like, it doesn't have an odor. It's like
odorless and colorless.
Yeah.
So putting it in wine, you wouldn't notice it. But again, that's the one poison that was going to hurt her in that trial, and she still failed again. If she hadn't cheated in that trial, she would have failed.
I know. I'm just saying, like, did she really cheat though? She was being guided.
Well, I think she
was guided by the ghost.
She even mentions that if they had remembered that Palar had said that he was a master of poisons, they probably would have put screens up in between them, because she's like, oh, he moved his glass, I'm gonna just move that over there.
I mean, I gotta be honest though, like, they're not that smart. This is like the Hinges all over again.
No. And she goes up against Karen, and she starts like, her vision's doubling. She's like confused. Her really slow movements. Nehemia gave her staff instead of... Kael held his sword out to her, and then Nehemia gave her the staff, like an iron tip staff. And she's like, let it be with an Eelway weapon that you show them. Yeah. And so she's like, you have a point. Kael's like, fine. Just puts his sword away, which is important that Kael still has a sword by the end of that fight. She's like, hallucination is a part of the
like
weapon.
I was sitting there like, she's all fucked up.
So she's like laying on the ground, and she ends up in this dark place. And this is our first thing we get to see of like a Volg scenario, where she's seeing the demons of the Volg and the wings and like all of the things that they are going to create later, and Cain in kind of a demon form hanging over her. And she has the Eye of Elena, so they can't attack her. So they're just kind of coming at her, but it's like she's just like she's like, I'm hallucinating. This is crazy. She gets her shoulder dislocated, and then she's thrown so hard it relocates afterward. Cain is beating the absolute shit out of her, and she's just laying there. She gets thrown face first into the clock tower. Elena shows up in the quote unquote hallucination, and is like actively trying to save her and stuff. Personally, I think she was, because in Air of Fire, when she ends up in that Volg like black tornado, I think she was in a version of that.
I just like the hallucination. Sorry, I was dying. I'm like,
she's not hallucinating. But when you're reading it the first time, you're like,
no, you totally weird. When you're reading it the first time, I do have to say that's how I read it too.
Yeah. But yeah, so she's having, I think it's kind of like her actual first encounter. She thinks the first encounter she has with that like Volg black tornado thing is in Air of Fire, but I'm pretty sure it happens in this moment.
Oh, I'm pretty sure it happens. Yeah, I'm agreeing with you.
Yeah. So yeah, she ends up Elena protects her as best she can. Cain breaks through this wall and is like, yeah, whatever. He rips the amulet off her in real life. not in that like Volg world. And then she's laying there like totally just I'm gonna die. And Kale comes over and steps down. He says, "Get up," and he's convincing her to get up and get up and get up. And that's kind of I think for her, in terms of the will they won't they of Kale and Dorian, I think that is her. Kale is this person for me. I think that is her moment where she's like, Kale showed up and he's here to help me. Kale ends up killing Cain in the end because he's
but
like,
here's my problem with the like, just because somebody's like perfect in that moment in the corner doesn't mean that they're perfect for you and like a whole vision of self. They're just, you know, everybody, I don't know. I'm definitely one of those people that's like, no pain, no gain. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I grew up with parents that were like, oh, your legs hurt? That sucks. Keep going. I don't know. So, like.
Yeah. Elena ends up taking she's like, I can't help you, but I can take the poison away. Yeah. So she takes the poison away. So then she's like, I can't give you strength, but I can take the poison away. So she takes the poison away. Kale's like, get up, get up, get up. And then he ends up killing Cain in the end because Dorian and Kale are like, she's poisoned. The wine was poisoned.
I do remember them like,
and then Dorian's in his head like, there's nothing I can do. Like, if I go up and say she's poisoned, they're gonna be like, too bad, whatever. And then they're gonna be like, who are you accusing? Who did it then? Yeah. You know, so there's no winning in it. And so they're both having to watch this girl that they both love at this point, the throuple dying. Nehemia starts walking around and is like forming symbols in the air and muttering under her breath, and they're all like, that's weird. Moving on. Selena's dying. Like, and then that's when her brow glows and the mark of Brannon on her brow is there. And Nehemia is like, do you know you have a mark on your brow? And she's like, I have no idea what you're talking about. No idea. And she's like, I'm surprised the king hasn't noticed. Like, you're screwed if the king ever notices you have the mark of Brannon on your brow.
Oh, he fucking knows. He just, the king knows everything. You guys are all delusional to think he doesn't know shit.
Because Parrington's the one who tells, he ends up spilling to Caltaine that she's actually Selena and not Lillian. Oh, yeah. And so Caltaine's like, now I want to kill her. Like, you know, like Caltaine ends up, and then Caltaine, there's, Kale's like, the wine was poisoned, blah, blah, blah. Like, it becomes a whole thing. And then they're like, well, Caltaine, why did you poison the wine? And she's like, what the fuck do you mean? Why did I poison the wine? So then she gets thrown in the dungeon.
That poor girl, like, in the beginning, I fucking hated her. But by the end, I was like, God, poor Caltaine. Like, she gets blamed for every fucking thing. And she's just like, okay.
Yeah, Caltaine was just, maybe not in the best way, was just trying to survive and move up in the world. And unfortunately ran into literally the darkest power she possibly could have in Erewhon.
Well, she doesn't know that. Like,
no, but like she's unfortunate for her, ends up in that situation. And so Selena ends up getting carried by Dorian back to her room. And she sleeps for like a day or something like that. She wakes up to Nehemia there. Nehemia explains the whole thing about Brandon's mark and stuff. And then she's like, can I take Fleetfoot for a walk? And she's like, go for it. I'm just going to like try not to die here. Like, I'm going to go back to sleep. And then Dorian shows up and like lays with her and they kiss a couple more times and stuff. And then when she's healing up, he's like, this is amazing. Like, we're going to be together now. And Dorian, and she's like, well, no, we're not. And, after she goes and she gets her contract with Kale, she's hanging out with Kale. And then Dorian walks in and is like, they're really close, aren't they? That sucks. And then she's like, well, you know, my dad's ready to like he's ready to do your contract now. So let's go do that. Yay. So then they all go down and everything. And then Dorian ends up leaving and she's with Kale in the end of the book. And Kale's like, what are you going to do now? Like, what's the thing? Like, you've got all this stuff ahead of you. You're now the king's champion. You're going to vanquish his enemies. And she's saying in her head, like, I will do whatever he asks me. I don't care what the deal is. For the next 4 years, I will do whatever he asks me so I can have my freedom, is in her head. And then she turns to Kale and she says, ask me tomorrow, or something like that. Let me get the exact quote because I have to talk about this. So she's talking to Kale. Kale's saying, like, you know, you got all this life ahead of you. What are you going to do? You're not going back to Endover. And she says, she's talking to me. She says, tell me tomorrow. And then if we fast forward to Kingdom of Ash, Rowan's like, what are we going to do? Like, there's so much stuff ahead of us. Now we have this kingdom and we've saved it. And she's like, tell me tomorrow. Like, so we get a call back to it in Kingdom of Ash. And I just wanted to say that. One of my favorite quotes that I have to say in this book, and it's on our shirts actually, is the Rattle the Stars. because that's the last time she visits Elena in this book, and she's like, you know, you did it. You stopped Cain's evil.
Yeah.
And says you could rattle the stars. You could do anything if only you dared. Deep down, you know it too. That's what scares you most. Another thing I want to say in the fight with Cain, while she's in that Vogue blackness, says he starts talking to her about how her parents died and how she woke up in between them covered in their blood and all this kind of stuff. And then she says, and he calls me a dangerous name. And again, on a first read, we have no idea what that is, but we know she was called Aelin in that.
I've read this book twice, and I'm like, I don't remember. I remember the scene. I remember it, but I don't remember. I must have missed stuff. I don't know.
Yeah, Cain. She says Cain calls me a very dangerous name.
No,
and I was just like, he called her Aelin.
Only Katie's over here all hyped up.
Yeah, that's my whole thing. I have one more thing. So after her final test, she's all beat up and everything. Dorian comes and sees her and everything, and he caresses her cheek, and she in her head is like. She flinches away because his fingers are so cold. He's super emotional when he meets her because he's like, you could have died. I could have lost you. And she flinches away at how cold his touch is. I think this is our first inkling of Dorian's raw magic that we get because he uses ice is like the first manifestation.
Well, you think that was the first?
I think that's the first inkling we get because she's like talking about how freezing cold his touch was.
No, I know. I didn't know. I didn't put that together. I just figured she was burning up because she was Aelin, that she was just like so hot that his touch was just cold.
But she doesn't have her power yet, so she doesn't burn like Aelin at that point because her power is blocked off.
Yeah,
by the clock towers.
I guess I didn't put two and two together. I just assumed.
I saw that and I was like, Dorian's magic is starting to manifest.
Nope, I guess I missed stuff. I'm like, I read this book twice.
I know I'm gonna listen back to this podcast and be like, oh, what should is it this thing about this?
Oh well, this is the problem with this book is that there's so much information that like my brain's like, oh my god, like yeah.
I literally was thinking about it. I was like, you know what? I don't think this is gonna be that bad of a podcast to do because I was looking at the size of the first book.
Oh no, it's when we get to the other ones that I'm worried that.
No,
but
I'm still worried about this because I know I missed a bunch of stuff in this book. Like, even, I know I was listening to it as an audiobook, and I know I fell asleep, like, once, and I was like, I woke up, and I was like, I don't know how far off I was. I missed, like, an hour or something. But even then, like, there's so much to this world, and the characters, and their interactions, and everything else that, like, I cannot imagine trying to cover all of this as a deep dive.
We're going to end up ranting about this one. We're going to end up doing like a full rant about all of the books. That way we can, just in case we missed anything, because you know we all listen to these.
Yes.
We're going to be like, oh my God, we'll totally forgot. And we freaking missed this on the,
Yeah.
Especially when you get to rant about all of the books and you don't have to try to be like, is this in this book? Like the whole time I'm like, no, I think that's in the other one. Don't say that. That's why I've been staring at you like, I'm not correcting anything. If you're wrong, I honestly am like, I don't know if that's in the other book or not. Like, yeah.
No, Throne of Glass is going to be, we might have to split some of these books into two parts just because they're so crazy.
Like the next time we do like a whole series like this, maybe we do one book and then we read the next one. So we're not thinking ahead because that's one of my biggest problem is being like, oh shit, we're in a different chapter.
I kind of like being able to reference everything though.
Me too. But then I'm always worried that I'm like, am I in the right book?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess first read and reread, what would you rate this book?
First read, I probably put it at like a 4. Reread, I put it at like a 4.5. I definitely, I'm like a 5-point person, and I definitely loved this story, but this was like my first Fae book. Well, no, not this one. My bad. This is my first Fae universe.
Yeah.
Back in like 2013. So yeah, I wasn't real like, yay. Now I'm like, oh my God, did you know that like the Fae have ears? Yeah, no, so like, but like you don't understand. Like when I first started reading this, I was like, ew, I'm not all that like, I'm like a very like, I guess that's my problem. My mom and I talk about this all the time. I'm like a very like serial killer. Like I'm like, oh my God, and then he murdered her and she's bleeding on the floor.
You don't like all the sweetness?
No, so I had trouble with the like sci-fi-ish kind of like, you know, like the fact that it was like fiction-y in the sense that like these people are like in a different world and there's these like Fae and then there's like these Vogue, and it took me a minute, but once I got past all that and I was like, oh my God, now I'm over there like reading the whole fucking universe. Yeah, so I think that's why it never became a 5 for me, because I was like, what the fuck? But I think if we would have read it now, after reading all the other universes, I would have been different. But yeah, it didn't come off right away as like a, and I don't want to give anybody the impression that like I'm like, it's good. I really enjoyed the story, but I don't want to give anybody the impression that like this was my first like delve into like,
right.
So I was like,
I will be, I'm an easy rater first of all. But again, this is a God tier series for me. Assassin's Blade actually was a 4 for me. I'm interested to see what I think of it later, but this is an absolute 5-star book for me. There are going to be 6-star reads for me in this series, but the 5 stars for sure. I could re-listen to this over and over and over again, and I could still find more little elements of things that just like are crazy to me.
This was the book that I think I went, not this particular, but this is the Tog was definitely me screaming at Katie, I can't fucking believe I'm reading this again. Oh my God. No. And they're walking. So I don't know. We'll see. We'll see if like, cause I might have to reread some of these just to like, even if I put them on like fast audio, cause I definitely was like, oh yeah, that did happen in this one. Like, so I'm definitely wrong on what book is what right now in my head.
Yeah.
So I might have to, before we go to
I feel that way, and I just reread this book. Because there's
like,
so much that overlaps, especially I would say between Throne of Glass and Crown of Midnight. I feel like the other books I can kind of keep track of in my head, but because they're both happening in Rifthold, and very like they're in the Glass Castle and stuff, it just like it throws me off that I'm like, oh, they're still talking to Elena, they're still doing this. Like there's a lot of overlap for me. But yeah, 5-star read for me. I cannot wait to keep talking about these books. It's just. So I kind of mentioned at the beginning of this, we are going to try to cover all of the SJM books that are currently out this year. We are going to start with Throne of Glass. We'll go through them first. And then at the end of Throne of Glass, we will do a wrap-up episode, which will be kind of like our Crescent City rant, where we just talk about the things we loved and the things we hated about this entire series.
Yes.
And then we will go into ACOTAR after that. And then we will finish off with covering each of the individual Crescent City books. And then we will do a Maasverse episode where we just talk about every connection we could possibly think of. Which is going to be amazing. And probably, I want to warn that a lot of these SJM episodes are probably going to go longer than our usual hour to hour and a half, just because there's so much to cover. So bear with us. Make sure, I cannot recommend these books enough. Just read these books, talk with us about it, tell us what your favorite things are, and we can't wait to keep talking about this. So if you are listening on YouTube, I'm going to throw up a slide so you can see us, where you can follow us on social media. Please leave a comment below and let us know what you're excited to hear about this year. If you have any books you'd like to have us talk about in 2026, please let us know, and we will see you next time.